And even though, like I said earlier, even with things that you have a hard time understanding, that's a little bit more out there, you can use tools and tricks to subtly hint the function or subtly hint what it's actually supposed to do. And for example, like the assassin hand or the runner legs, for example, flares on the back of her foot, we can suggest she's really fast. But who knows in reality, it probably wouldn't work. And even though, like I said earlier, even with things that you have a hard time understanding, that's a little bit more out there, you can use tools and tricks to subtly hint the function or subtly hint what it's actually supposed to do. And for example, like the assassin hand or the runner legs, by using, for example, flares on the back of her foot, we can suggest she's really fast. But who knows in reality, it probably wouldn't work.
I have no idea what you're
even though, like I said earlier, even with things that you have a hard time understanding, that's a little bit more out there, you can use tools and tricks to subtly hint the function or subtly hint what it's actually supposed to do.
The video in the top left,
for example, like the assassin hand or the runner legs,
because it's an ad.
by using, for example, flares on the back of her foot, we can suggest she's really fast. But who knows in reality, it probably wouldn't work. And even though, like I said earlier, even with things that you have a hard time understanding, that's a little bit more out there, you can use tools and tricks to subtly hint the function or subtly hint what it's actually
the
supposed
video
to do.
has
And
voice.
for example, like the assassin hand or the runner legs, by using, for example, flares on the back of her foot, we can suggest she's really fast.
Now. Oh shit, sorry about that. It should be fine now, right? It was not intended to have audio. All right, sorry about that. I had no idea. I thought the audio was removed, but yeah, sorry. Is it all? Is it better now? Okay, that's good. Sorry about that. What a fail. Anyways, yeah. So there's no audio supposed to be on the video. It's just an ad running, looping, for what happens on Saturday for subscribers. I will have a subscriber only show of that talk. Just my lovely voice. Fantastic. All right, cool. Good morning, Fraser, Captain Baus, Zealin, August. Yeah, sorry about that madness. Right, so today we're going to study Rembrandt. The idea of today's study is not to do a master study. You should not copy this image. But the basic idea is what I want you to try, if you want to, all right, is to, we do a posturize. If you want to do a posturize, set it around 10. Around 10. And you should start seeing the simplified values. And you should be able to group what's lit and what's not lit, right? So that we can clearly see like the yellow and the very orange are in the light, right? And the shirt in the shadows are very dark. And there's a lot of greens and a lot of dark reds in the shadow. Like that's where all the subtleties happen, right? The grays and green and the light. So the idea is, in theory, we can look at the image like this, and we should create an image based on these lighting conditions. So we have a lot of warm greens and reds in the shadows versus a quite yellow, like egg yellow and and grays in the lit area. And it's going to be very low value, so we're going to have a lot of subtleties and pool light, right? If we want to imitate this, we got to imitate the light setup, because we can't go opposite in the light setup, right? So it has to be low value, spotlight, and a lot of shadow play, right? So the idea is we look at the image, we try to abstract or extract the colors and the values, and then we paint our own painting, right? So you paint something else based on moody, low value, this palette. Fresher, you simplified what I did with Posturize like this is just for you to see more clearly what Posturize does. It lumps value and color into a group, right? So if you decrease, you see this red doesn't exist in the painting, but because you're forcing Posturize to only display a certain value and color, it simplifies it, it pushes the like average down to that, right? So the more you increase, the more subtleties you get, and the higher you go, the more subtle and finer the value range goes. So around, I'd say for this instance, somewhere around 10, you're starting to see quite clear, simplified shapes, right? Of what you could see if you would eyeball it. You see that green on his shirt, on the sleeve holding Aristoteles. You can kind of see it, now you see it very clearly, but it's the wrong value and wrong color, but you start to get an idea of ballpark, right? Hey Tamaz, hey Sayo, how's it going? Hey Einstein, what up? Yeah, so that's the a new brand, a Rembrandt. Funny guy. All right, so let's start. Let's start to see kind of where we can go with this. So obviously I need a pool light, which is warm. Like a spotlight, right? And kind of like a gentle reminder, we can't go too high value. We have to be quite subtle in the way we have the values, and only have the strongest values, highest values at the focal point. I think I'm gonna do some sort of monster sitting on a ledge. So I'm kind of gonna do a similar treatment to the painting. You know, like I'm literally gonna borrow the location of the colors, but I'm gonna try to I mean, I'm not gonna copy the reference, right? So I can't place the information, you know, like a shirt at the exact same as the shirt, but this shirt has slightly different design, right? That would be cheating. I'm doing that now because I'm talking about it. I'm an idiot. Yeah, the idea is to try to just kind of see what the master of light, Rembrandt, is doing in terms of value, light, just to kind of try to see what color choices are happening and why they look the way they do, and what we can glean from it. One thing that would be really beneficial in doing a study like this, which I haven't, is to know what palettes he's using, what actual colors, because this is oil, obviously. So it would be really, I think, beneficial to be able to say, oh, he used cadmium red or whatever, and so that you can understand his starting point. And you could even Google those colors at their plain base value, and then use it in your painting. I think that would be even more fascinating. To see where that would lead. I was playing earlier with ways of extracting the palette from the image. There are certain ways that you can do it, but it's not as easy as using posterize. But you can theoretically get swatches from this Rembrandt photo, so that you can actually use the exact kind of assumed value from the painting. Hey, Captain Jetlag, how's it going? August. Yeah, he's a Photoshop 3 user, I believe. I just love how Rembrandt in these paintings are so like low contrast values, and then at a certain point he's just punching the value like crazy. It's so fascinating to see. I think for any painter interested in kind of realistic moody light, I think Rembrandt is a great starting point. Captain Jetlag, you I had a really bad joke there of you getting into a closet, or back into a closet, but I'll skip that that bad joke. Yeah, where were I? Yeah, so doing these kind of studies is a really fun way to try to like look at color relationships and try to understand what's happening with the color, why, where, like saturation value, soft edges, lost edges, and just try to kind of take a step back and look at the master at work, and try to figure out why Rembrandt did the things he did, and try to imitate it. You know, like what's that saying? Imitation is the best form of flattery. I don't know. But you can pick up a lot of things by just looking at the solutions and why he's regarded so good with light and paintings and so on. You can look at the reference and you can see where is a sharper edge, like here, like there, versus these edges. And what does the color do and value do to these places, right? And here's also an edge, but it's far from as sharp and has high contrast up there as there, which is really fascinating to see. And the same goes here. And there's a lot of difference and in color and in sharpness, and here and here. And you can look at that and go, all right, so he's increasing saturation. He puts a lot more effort into a leading edge, and he lower the values, dirties the saturation on a soft edge. And the softer the edge, the dirtier the saturation, the closer to the background it goes. So you can almost make a formula about that. And if you look at like his shirt and jacket versus there, and detail intensity, and how we compositionally like travels like an 8. August, yeah, there we go, that one. Captain Jetlag, yes, you can. On Saturday, if you're a subscriber, I will air it I'll start a subscriber-only stream and have play the talk for you guys who have supported me or being a subscriber. So you give me, I give you. That's the basic idea. And I don't want to give for free at the moment. I'll give the subscribers a little bit of a pay to win, just as a thank you. And we'll take it from there, I guess. But the idea is you will at some point get access to that talk. But at the moment, for the subscribers, it will be a perk, I guess. Hey, Kodma, how's it going? What up? Yeah, the art department talk that I'm going to show on Saturday is one of my favorites. I think it's the most cohesive in terms of information, and I spent a lot of time on that talk trying to break it down and in a understandable and relatable way, so that when you look at it, you understand a lot clearer. And like I said there on I think it was on Friday, that the idea that in the talk, right, is not a simple answer, but the idea is that the information in the talk is that you can apply it to anything that is more of like a overarching, not facts, but tools you could use to build whatever you want to visually. Hey, Ricky, how's it going? Assassins with Jets, August, no. That part which you heard, which you shouldn't have heard because the audio should have been switched off. It was a game I played with the audience, and it's gas, not jets. But it's like it's a visual library game you can play with yourself when you're thinking about certain things or designing certain things, and you'll hear more about it in the talk if you're a subscriber. But yeah, it's a complicated topic, and that was a game I used to prove my point about the design language thing. So imitating his mustache. Hilarious. Subconsciously. Konma, oh, that's really cool. Hopefully we'll meet soon. I think these conventions are great and a perfect way to get seen and get hired. And with your skill set, Konma, you should expose yourself. That could be taken out of context. You should definitely expose yourself to these companies that are there and art directors and so on. But I assume skill isn't your problem, or having exposure is your problem, but it's more of your physical location. Potentially might limit your ability to work where you want to work. Hey Miguel, how's it going? What up? August, yeah. That's exactly what I want. No. Konma. Yeah, but that's the nature of all things when you are under contract. You can't really have anything to show, sadly. And it's so sad, like when you have something to show and you're like, yeah, I can show it. Oh, 3 years old. Maybe not. Okay, let's try to define it a little bit. I've been very loosey-goosey. Exactly, Konma. Then it already looks dated. Yet you have this kind of not the respect, but the recognition. I guess recognition for contributing to something that people recognize, and you're like, yeah, I worked on this 3 years ago, and they're like, oh yeah, like yeah, show me something, and like. But that's the thing, I think it happens to everyone in the industry, and it's very understood that that's the case. But also skill, like technical skill, should improve, but like the kind of more lofty aspects of working for production is like a design. It significantly has a longer longevity. A design that's good like stands the tests of time, right? Like a really cool looking car from 60s is still cool today because the design is good. Where a bad design that's just trendy in a car, for example, they quickly become boring and ugly, right? They don't have the kind of precision in design. So in like for me, what's comforting sometimes is that I know my painting skill has evolved since the point where I painted the painting. But because I also do a lot of design work, I put a lot of effort into the actual design, right? That the design itself should be strong, should be able to stand alone. So in that sense, um, I'm most of the times, mind you, most of the times I'm happy showcasing old work because of design rather than contemporary trends. Captain Jetlag. I mean, there's a lot of information about that. I mean, you can look it up yourself in terms of studio light setup. You will most likely initially get a post about 3-point studio portrait setup, but there is layers to it if you start to go down the rabbit hole of Google and search terms. But I'm interested in hearing what you find, Captain Jetlag. So whatever rabbit hole you dive into, please share the useful information you find. I know there's a lot of theory about light in photos because cameras have been around for so long, right? If I have any anatomy books I like, I have one anatomy book I used in my career only. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, it's this one. Sarah Simblett, Anatomy for the Artist. It's really good. Let's not show nudity. But it has like legs, and then you have like overlay. You can see skeleton system, and there's a lot of good like a lot of good photos and stuff. A lot of good definitions and high resolution photos. There you see. Oh, come on. It's really a good book. That's also good for modelers. It's really good for modelers and all those things. There's a really good form definition. Like you can see a lot of good information in there. the models used are very well defined. It's just a really good quality book. The photos are printed fantastically. All those overlays are really good. But that being said, like I always say, just because I like that anatomy book doesn't mean that everyone will enjoy it. It suits my way of thinking, and it suits my way of understanding anatomy really, really well, because I am more or less, in my way of thinking, a sculptor a lot more than a line artist. So when I see things that are sculpted really well and explained in form over line, that thinking goes a long way for me. So when I see that, that ticks a lot of boxes. And I have a hard time looking at Loomis as an example. He's very line dependent, and you can get information from that. But for me, in general, comparatively, someone who's form orientated helps me a lot more. Behind you, that is, you see the text at the top, subscriber only on Saturday. So if you're a subscriber on Saturday at 8 o'clock in the UK, you'll get the talk. I will show it for subscribers only. Hey, Brendan Toy, how's it going? For all you new people, Saturday I will do the talk I did at TAD Berlin last year, where I talk about how to art direct yourself or art direct projects, specifically about tone, design, and value, and the project and scaling information, your obligations as an art director, tools that you can use to understand scope and texture and all sorts of things. A breakdown. I go from kind of design theory specifics to overarching project, kind of like as a build up. The structure of the talk is I break all the steps down from easiest understanding of the concept applied to, let's say, character design or image, and then add layer as the talk goes along. I add another layer on top of it of complexity and abstraction, in terms of, like, if you're an art director and you art direct a project, the basic principle of a good design still has to be applied, but we're not talking about singular object in the project, right? You have to think about the overarching thing and how to control that and what things to look at and things like that. And so like with that, you need to understand step one, because step one has as much importance as the last step in the talk. Anyways, you'll hear on Saturday. it's a good talk. I'm happy with it. And the organizer, I must say again, I repeat again, he said he was very impressed that I was so educational. Frogs, how many subs I have? Not that many. No idea. I have, what do you see? Anyways, not that many. Captain Jetlag. Setting up Patreon instead? Yeah, I was talking about it last year. But I'm a bit unsure of how I want to proceed. I got to do some thinking about it. But yeah, I have given it thought, and it is something that bugs me. How Twitch kind of screws me over. We'll see. But yeah, I compared to streamers, I have not a lot of subs. 20. Everybody's enjoying the free content. That's why I don't have a lot of subs. Twitch takes 50%, yeah. Hey, Art of SES, how's it going? Well, thank you. I am Rembrandt. Need to boost a little bit. All right, that was that study. So the basic idea of the study, right, if you feel like doing it, is that you type apostrophe ref, you get that picture. You don't copy the picture, but you copy the relationships of the colors, right? You try to boil down where the warm tones are, why the light turns to more green and blue in the lit. The sharper edges are all obviously in the lit areas versus softer edges, dirtier saturation towards the shadow side and lost edges. And it's not the study shouldn't be about copying the master Rembrandt, the master Rembrandt, but to try to analyze what's happening with values and the colors and try to see the relationship between saturation and desaturation and sharp and soft, and paint your own painting, like the end painting, like my monster over there. It's not worth anything. It's just a ugly monster if we do it like this. that monster has nothing to call home about, right? It's stupid. It looks like a melted dog. But the fact that I've been focusing on color has a more interesting aspect. That's what makes the painting that good for me, because I've been looking at Rembrandt's palette, which makes my painting interesting color-wise. But design-wise is bullshit. But that's not the point, right? I don't want to have something to take, make a portfolio piece about, but I want to learn from one of the masters of painting moody. I am Rembrandt. All right. Brendan Toy. Cool. All right. Let's find someone to raid. There's not a lot of people online. Oh, Jesus. Let's find someone we can... Tits and ass. Tits and ass all over the place. Oh, that doesn't look promising, people. This looks pretty cool. Let's see. I have no idea. Are you online? Are you even pinning? Says live. Well, I don't know. Let's see. I have no idea. My own YouTube channel. Inception. All right. I'm going to rate this random person. Have a good one. Good night. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Outro time, and then